So on this channel, I have made a lot of videos about Marvel related games. And that is partially due to the fact that I am a Marvel enthusiast at heart. I love consuming Marvel media in a variety of different circumstances, and the game that really got me hooked into the gaming genre when it comes to the Marvel property is this mobile game, Marvel Contest of Champions. I've been playing this game since the fall of 2015, and I consistently play it some days and some weeks more than others, but it is a game that I have come to enjoy. So, in my efforts to continue with the Marvel theme of videos that crop up across this channel, I wanted to revisit this game that I've sunk countless hours into and talk about the different characters that are available, because there is a very expansive cast of characters. Now, this is by the same developers as the Marvel Realm of Champions game that we've been doing some videos on in the past couple of weeks, but of course this is the predecessor that allowed for that game to come out in the first place. So what I plan to do with this Character 101 series is to double back and look at the different characters that are available on the playable roster and give my thoughts on how they might be able to be improved or allow you to understand them a little bit better. And when it comes to characters that were introduced into this game, you can't really get a whole lot older than Abomination. And so we're going to knock these characters out in not necessarily sequential order or alphabetical order, but just as we kind of come across them, trying to use the oldest characters and working our way up to the newer ones. And this is going to take us quite some time. But if you're excited to see more videos like this in the future, make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell to make sure that you get the notifications for every upload, as I do upload every single day and provide variety content for you. And if you find today's video helpful, enjoyable, or have any further questions, please feel free to interact either by hitting that like button or leaving a comment down below the video, as I do review through those as well. So, like I said, today's character that we will be looking at is Abomination, and he is a very interesting character, but sadly he probably won't see any changes anytime in the foreseeable future, and I give two reasons for that. One, we've already seen an overhaul to the counterfactor character of Hulk. That's happened a while back when he got his changes and updates, and you would have expected that Abomination would have got changes around that same point in time, but unfortunately that just was not the case. And secondly, there is a newer updated version of Abomination that's been added into the game within the past couple of months, so the likelihood of seeing changes to Abomination is fairly slim. That being said, I will talk about some ideas that I potentially have for how I think he could be reworked to be made into a better, more interactive and enjoyable character than what he is in his current sorry iteration. So, Abomination is a very bare-bones character. He doesn't have a lot of unique abilities at his disposal. His signature ability is entitled Irradiate, and this will allow contact with Abomination's gamma irradiated body to have an increased chance based on the signature level of poisoning the target. And this is any sort of contact, so it can trigger through blocking or through you layering in attacks to your opponents. It does not have to be from them striking you. If they do contract the poison effect from the signature ability, they will take a certain specified amount of damage based off of the character's level over a 12-second span. Poison not only deals damage over time, but it also reduces the efficiency of any healing buffs or other methods of recuperating health. Other than his signature ability, there are a couple of passive items that Abomination has. He does possess a passive ability to poison the opponent whenever he triggers a bleed, and that does not have to be directly triggered by the opponent. If you have the double edge mastery, which gives you bleed off the start of the fight, or if you are fighting on a map that involves something like caltrops or biohazard, any of those nodes. Anytime Abomination has a bleed activated upon him, it has that 95% chance to trigger a poison on the opponent. Additionally, there is a 12% chance for Abomination to gain a Fury buff upon landing an attack on his opponents, and that is any sort of attack, whether it's a light, medium, or heavy attack, or even a special attack from what I can deduce here as well. This Fury buff isn't super strong. It does provide that increased attack, which is always nice to see, and it only has a duration of about 6 seconds, but it is better than having no buffs whatsoever. And the last item within Abomination's passive kit is he does have an enhanced immune system, which grants a full immunity to any other poisons which could be inflicted upon him. So that certainly bolsters his usability, especially for early game players. But beyond that, he doesn't really offer a whole lot to the table and has some pretty mediocre, if not underwhelming, damage. Abomination's special attacks are fairly underwhelming as well. His first attack is not only very easy to evade, but it doesn't hit very strong even with that Fury active. It just involves one forward striking head bash or skull bash as he leans forward. The second attack is a little bit more difficult to avoid and can catch some people off guard, but it does involve a strike into the ground, which creates a shockwave type effect, which is then followed up by an additional slugging punch. If the first hit connects, then the second one is guaranteed to, providing that the character doesn't activate some sort of evade tactic when executing that attack. And the Gamma Bomb, of course, being that third special ability, it's always going to hit because third special abilities always do, is it activates a unique cinematic. But again, you don't get any specific benefits from using the third special attack, so there's not really a whole lot of use or practicality in unleashing that type of attack. So that's what Abomination looks like in his current iteration, but what would I recommend to change him? Well, I think that he could have a higher reliance on being able to deal those poison debuffs. I mean, it's not super great that about at his max potency, he has about a 20% chance of inflicting that poison through his signature ability. So if that were to be bolstered, it would probably make these fights a little more challenging and or make the character a little more useful. I also think that it would be interesting to add some sort of guaranteed poison effect potentially to the heavy attack. And yes, that doesn't really work against any of the characters that are poisoned, but that doesn't really offer any effects to characters that are poison immune, but maybe working something alternative in if the character has some sort of poison immunity. We've seen other characters that are able to inflict some sort of degeneration, or perhaps a method of applying a passive poison that can't be shrugged off, or even another poison or toxin-like ability that bypasses the poison immunity of most characters. I mean, it would certainly make the fight a lot more annoying when coming up against this character, but he's been in the game for quite some time and has seen little to no changes, so offering that type of retroactive adjustment I don't think is too far out of line to expect or request. But what are your thoughts? Let me know what you think of Abomination down in the comments below. Of course, he's not a super great character in his current iteration. I'd love to see more reworks done with him at some point down the line, though again, I recognize that it is fairly likely that that is not going to happen due to the recent addition of an alternate version of Abomination. But thanks again for taking time and watching today's video. I hope you look forward to the next installment in this series next week. And until then, thanks again for watching, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.